Have you ever had Mountain Dew Baja Blast Zero Sugar?
No.
It is awful.
That
It tastes as bad as it is named. It tastes like a chemical, and I was so disappointed.
The only thing for me that can make Baja Blast taste good is eating Taco Bell with it, because that taints it taints the whole chemical balance of your body.
It does.
But
It was. I took one drink of it and threw it away. I cannot.
Was that an
believe-
accidental purchase?
No, because I was like, oh, diet. This will be better. Oh, wait, pause. Beautiful second gen Ford Bronco just drove past.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A Bronco
It
too?
was No, it was a Bronco. OJ was not
I
driving
was
it.
gonna ask.
Neither was Kato Kalin for our older listeners out there. But that was fantastic.
Yeah, not even I got that reference.
Guaranteed that guy was not drinking a zero sugar Mountain Dew Baja Blast
Probably not.
because he didn't steer into oncoming traffic. Speaking of steering into oncoming traffic, I was just driving here, Holiday Studios. I passed, so I have a neighbor that is a contractor, and he drives an F-350.
Okay.
And it's huge, right?
It's an
F-350.
Yeah.
He was driving the opposite way as me, but 4 cars had plowed into the back of him. I don't know what was happening.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, dead serious. The police hadn't even arrived on the scene yet. It didn't look. There weren't like bodies strewn about, but
It's a road rage incident.
there was a RAV4 that had like completely gone underneath the back of his car, halfway up the hood.
Oh.
And
Did you say RAV4?
yeah.
As Bill Engvall would say, there's your sign.
Yeah, it's a RAV 2.5 now. And then there was a Subaru plowed into the back of that.
Okay, so at least he's doing a service to the community.
It was a wilderness edition. But I was shocked. I mean, his truck was totally fine. But there was some carnage. I mean, there was fluids leaking. Russ, if you're out there, I hope you're doing all right, buddy. Hope you're doing all right. I'll stop by tonight. He lives like 2 houses away from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I know. So that's a bummer. That's not a fun way to start your Tuesday.
Ooh.
What day is it? Tuesday?
I
Or
think
Wednesday?
So. Oh, it's Wednesday.
Time is a continuum and an illusion
Yes. One eternal round. some may say.
constructed by society to keep us down.
Right. I'm assuming dates, times, all have something to do with Big Pharma.
The IRS and Big Pharma.
Right.
Yep. Those Sacklers. Opioid. I'm just going to start saying words that are associated with this conversation. You know what people have been begging us to do? It's what all the kids are doing. Fit checks.
Oh, fit checks?
Yep. Here we go.
That's not a good day for me.
Here we go.
I came straight from work.
Old Nicky boy. So did I. What do we got here?
Your job's different than mine.
Let's go down the list. Ray-Ban sunglasses. Alpina watch.
Ooh.
And then it takes a real turn for the worse. Costco shirt. Pants from the Gap. Socks from Costco. Shoes I bought off of KSL for $10.
What are the shoes?
Oh, they are New Balance something with a Vibram sole. No, they've never been worn. They're pretty sweet.
They're nice.
They
match
make
your
me
shirt.
They make me an inch taller.
Woo!
I know.
My shoes I'm wearing today do not do that. Let's go through what I'm wearing real quick.
Okay, here we go.
I am wearing a Utah Open golf hat that Mom got me for volunteering at the Utah Open.
Nice. Okay.
I'm wearing an everyday livery 1, 2, 3 Quattro.
Oh, heck yes.
Everyday livery
That's such a good
Audi
throwback.
shirt. Solid throwback. I'm wearing some sort of
Pants.
athletic pant.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm wearing, they look like Converse, but they're actually made by Levi's.
Oh.
And they have an elastic heel.
Oh. So what we're saying is that we do it upright here.
Right.
I think the coolest thing in our bevy of drip fits, I'm just going to start using words.
So Sigma.
No cap, bro. We bussin'. So my 9-year-old soccer team, I say words like that all the time, and I don't even know what they mean, and it makes them so mad. And that's exactly why I do it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's perfect.
The other, not yesterday. What was it? On Thursday, they were having a practice,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the kids, I won't call him out by name, Cameron, was just not paying
Little
attention.
snot-nosed punk.
I was like, Cameron, stop capping and start bussing. And
I can
everybody,
eat a whole box of cookies for dinner.
here's the fart-faced little kid. But everybody stopped when I said that, so it got their attention,
Right.
and I looked cool.
It's like the rain stick in elementary school that teachers would use.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly the same thing.
Yep, pass it around. Peace pipe?
Yeah,
Again,
that was third grade.
I'm just throwing out words today.
Right.
Your everyday livery shirt is baller, though.
It is.
I
Next,
should have tried harder on that whole t-shirt venture.
you can get back into it.
Yeah, right.
Next time we record, I will guarantee the drippiest, fittiest fit that has ever been dripped while fitting.
My wallet is actually physically dripping because my 9 or 8-month-old was chewing on it in the car today. So that was fun.
Yeah.
I went to Home Depot today to grab some stuff to see if I could figure out a way to display all my Hot Wheels cars, because that's all I can afford to collect.
Hold off on that.
Okay, I'm holding off on that. So I was looking around.
Got something coming your way.
Oh, hello. And I was telling the guy, I knew what I was looking for, and I was telling the guy what I was looking for, and I eventually told him what I wanted to do with it to display the Hot Wheels cars.
Right.
And he's like, oh, hold on, let me go get Gary. And I was like, okay.
Gary Woodland?
Yeah. Gary Player Special. So Gary comes out, and he's this kid, and he's like, hey, I'm trying to sell all my Hot Wheels cars. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, I probably only have like 1,500 of them, though.
Oh, only.
I'm just trying to clear out some room. Yeah. And I was like, I'll take 2.
The fact that this guy at Home Depot is actively trying to sell his Hot Wheels collection,
It was
I'm
so
like,
funny.
I know.
But
why
he
you
was
work
into
at
it,
Home
and then
Depot.
he talked my ear off for a long time, which was fine. But it was pretty funny. So everybody everywhere they're affected by cars at some point.
Right.
Some of us really love them. But he said he really loves muscle cars and Mopar stuff.
Okay.
Which is, if that's what you do, that's fine.
So if muscle car and Mopar guys work at Home Depot, where do like guys like us, German car guys, where do they work? Because
that's a good
what do
question.
Lowe's people drive?
I think probably lowriders. El Camino,
Oh, El Camino. Okay,
I think.
that's a good question.
That is actually, you know what? We need to delve into that a little bit and figure it out, because there need to be, we need to get that done.
We might need to do some investigative research.
Okay, undercover?
Driving around to AutoZones and Napas and
Oh my gosh.
seeing
Okay.
who drives what,
I went in to buy some windshield wiper blades.
who
Okay.
drives what, where, and why.
What way?
You're right.
Whiskey.
Safety word didn't help at all.
So
It's totally my ad.
I went to, was it AutoZone? Regardless. Went to AutoZone to buy some windshield wiper blades a couple months ago.
Okay.
And there's a kid there who's very chatty, which is great. Like, he wants to help out, but he was talking and telling me all about his Charger.
Current gen?
Current gen. And how he has modified it. How did he...
Look like a Chrysler 300 wagon?
Yes. He even taped on things on the back to make it look like a wagon. No. He's made it more powerful. How has he done it? It's a quiz to you.
Oh, intake for sure.
Cold air intake.
K&N filter.
Yep.
Which is at least
600 horsepower.
Yeah, right. So much torque twisted the chassis coming off the line. Family is everything. Thanks, Vin.
Thanks, big Vinny. So he was telling me all of the things he had done to it, which, truth be told, I'm not mechanically knowledgeable enough to be like, oh yeah, absolutely. Where he lost me is when he said he could get the front tires 2 inches off of the ground.
With a lift? With a jack?
I don't know. I didn't, because I blacked out for a second when he said it. I was like, dude, that is amazing. So after I came back, I was like, oh man, that's amazing. That is fantastic. He's like, yeah, it's a sleeper. It's a sleeper.
So for everybody listening, that doesn't understand this, let me just clarify that a current Dodge Challenger Demon with racing slicks on a prepped surface, including weight saver front wheels, will get the front wheels maybe a foot off the ground. Maybe, if it hooks up. So if you're getting your cold air intake installed 14 ton
Yep. 96 foot long
Maersk Dodge Charger.
Yep. The USS Charger.
You're getting the front wheels. That's a real sleep. Okay.
Well, here's the thing.
If your front wheels come off the ground, it's no longer a sleeper.
Well, yeah. So I noticed as I was going out in the parking lot that he did have new tires in the back, but not the front. So I don't know. Maybe he could.
Slicks in the front.
Maybe they were very slick. They were shiny, in fact.
Let me just tell a story real quick.
Oh,
this is one of the greatest things. I hope I'm telling this story right to do it justice.
Me too.
Winslow told me this story. Winslow used to work at a local performance shop.
Yes, he did.
Mostly LS-based stuff. They work on Camaros, Corvettes.
A lot of LSs, a lot of LSD, from what I heard.
Right.
Okay.
So part of his job when he worked there, he would go on the like Camaro forums and stuff and like try and answer questions. Yeah. And like then a lot of people are like, how do I make more power? And then you can get like some business from that is what I'm assuming they would do. Like, hey, we can tune that for you or whatever.
Okay.
But he said one of the most common things was guys on the forums asking how they could get more power out of their V6 Camaros.
Yeah, there is a way to do that.
He would just comment and say, buy a V8.
Buy a V8, yep. Take it back. Take it back. Grab yourself
I send
a V8.
it back. His last name is Grotti.
Did you order the gabagool?
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
That is.
Buy a V8.
Buy something else. Your Michael Scott comment. There's an excellent automotive.
It's Brittany.
There's an excellent automotive joke in that same episode. So they show up. Michael and Dwight and Andy show up to meet with the insurance rep at a restaurant.
Right.
And they're afraid that he's in the mafia. So Andy dresses in disguise and dresses as a mechanic. And so he's got like full mechanic coveralls on.
Jumpsuit.
And they're leaving. When they leave the restaurant, there's a lady with her daughter and their car is dead and she's asking for a jump start. And the insurance guy, is, oh, this guy's a mechanic. This is great. And Andy has no idea what he's doing. So he goes over and hooks up the jumper cables backwards. And the lady starts it and it just explodes, like sparks everywhere. Oh, and do you remember what he says?
Yeah, that's sadly true. That's how that works.
Yeah. He's got,
yeah, I know.
He goes, yeah, no, you've got leaky spark tubes. That's totaled.
Leaky spark tubes.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a Prius. Do they have spark tubes?
Oh, gosh. That is awesome.
Yeah. That's a solid automotive joke.
Leaky spark tubes. Would buy an X-Earth. You idiot.
Oh, man. Okay. So as we're sitting here, Holiday Studios.
Convertible in this climate?
We are deep in the 84109 right now.
Right.
So Liz, my wife, and I went to dinner the other night at a local establishment called the Cotton Bottom.
Oh.
And
Did you get garlic burgers?
Oh, yes. I'm still tasting. It was 4 days ago. But we sat outside. It's right on the corner of like where a really affluent area is, like 8, 10, $12 million houses.
Yes.
The car watching was spectacular.
Right. Did Liz care?
She didn't care.
Okay.
There were a few loud ones that drove by, and she's
Yeah.
like, "That's annoying." And I was like, "I don't."
How dare you? That was a G37.
Yeah, that was an Infiniti QX56. And I threw up my nice dinner. So there was an F8 that drove past.
An F8?
An F8?
What color?
It was black. What is happening? Are you under attack? It was black with gold wheels.
Okay. Was it matte black?
It was matte black.
Oh, barf.
I know. It
That
sounded
guy should
fantastic.
be shot.
But I thought the same thing. So I took a shot. Missed.
You know what they say? You got to fight fire with fire. So I shot another flare.
So I start blasting. But there were a few, I think there were 2 or 3 M3s. There was an E36 M3. Don't know if you know anything about those.
Don't bring that up. I've been thinking about that car we could talk about that later.
Okay.
What else? What else drove by?
Do you know what? I saw an Ineos Grenadier.
Okay.
It was like the Temu version of...
It really is. It's so weird.
I don't understand. I don't understand the thought process behind
It's like
building
lumpy.
that and selling it. It just looks like... It looks like they had a Defender.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we have a Defender, but we don't have any of the lights or trim or fittings for it. So we're just going to make it work. We have these random parts for it. We're just going to fit them on there and see how it goes.
So, and then BMW saw how hideous it was, and they were like, we need to put our name on that. So
We can
here's
do
a bunch
much
of...
better.
Right. Here's an engine and a bunch of interior pieces.
Yeah, and we have this back bumper that's 8 feet tall. How do we divide it up and make it not look 8 feet tall?
Right.
Stick some black plastic trim. Oh. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I listened to that clip from our last episode.
Yeah.
And the depth of shame that I felt, it never ended.
There was a lot of shame from that last episode.
That last episode was, I don't want to say a train wreck because sometimes train wrecks aren't quite that bad. But I had fun with it. I also uploaded it improperly, so I had to do it 3 times, which was great. So it is. If you've noticed outside how windy it is,
Yes.
and how smoky it is.
Yeah.
Where's all
Thanks,
that-
California.
I was just gonna say we keep getting all their trash, ruining everything. What are you doing with that microphone?
I don't know.
It sounds like you put it in a blender. Heaven's sakes, this is the least professional. Oh my gosh. So you're driving the van today. I parked next to it.
I am.
I
Ford
love that.
Transit.
I love that van so much.
Yeah. It looks way so once we put
It's the work van. It's
Right.
your guys' mobile detail studio.
it's our mobile detail studio. You designed a wrap for it, which
did.
looks incredible.
It does look amazing.
And we also put Ford Focus RS wheels on it.
Looks fantastic.
Oh, it is so good.
Have you guys? So the window. What are the front windows tinted at? 5%.
Yes. What is the windshield tinted at?
Yeah, 50.
And then half of it is like a 5% tint strip.
Yeah, I don't know how you see out of it. You just guess.
Yeah, that's not. We know where we're going, and we can just do it by feel. It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But it looks so good.
Yeah. Now, one day in the morning, we were driving up to Park City, like the wrong time of morning, right when the sun was coming up. And it was like, okay, we're putting tint on this immediately.
Okay.
And then I didn't think it would actually happen. And then all of a sudden, I showed up one day and it's like crazy dark tint. I was like, thank you, Winslow. Except for the few times I've had to drive it at night and I have to roll the windows down.
It is. So my V70R was the same way.
Yeah.
It was so dark. And when I backed up at night, I had to have the windows down.
Yeah.
But in the daytime, it was awesome.
Oh, so good. My E36 M3 had 5% on all the windows except for the windshield. I didn't tint the windshield at all, but we have a client that has a black Turbo S,
Okay.
and he has 5% tint on everything, including the windshield.
How does he... That's not a little bit illegal.
No, you cannot see into the car. It just looks like...
Sure.
It looks like when you were a kid and you had a Sharpie with a Hot Wheels car and you just colored all the windows. Maybe I was the only one that did that.
You were the only one that did that. You ruined so many of my Hot Wheels cars like that.
Right.
Still upset about it. I saw a 911 Sport Classic yesterday. I sent you a picture, and I am absolutely in love with it.
Can I just tell you how happy I am?
Stop fiddling with
Okay,
the
I'm
damn
sorry.
microphone.
Can I just tell you how happy I am that car is not painted Sport Classic gray like every other Sport Classic?
It was blue, and it had the graphics on. Like had the ducktail spoiler.
Yeah.
Everything. I loved everything about it.
Have you seen the value on those recently?
No. How is it?
What would you...
Accelerating?
That car was like... I would say on average, a build was like 240, 250.
Really?
And then people were selling them... Originally, like to buy the car, most people were paying like 200 to 250 over.
So $500,000?
Yeah, so $500,000.
No way. I didn't know it was that big of a deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, on the Sport Classic. Because the Sport Classic, they're only making... I think it's 1,963 of them.
I wonder why.
1950, yeah. So, but it's a rear-wheel drive manual 911 turbo, which is
perfection.
epic.
It's perfection.
Epic. But the values on them now. So if people were buying them for 500, they've been out for a year and a half.
Okay.
Maybe. I've seen multiple listed for between 800 and 900,000.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So I not foolishly, I cannot keep track of every special edition of 911
Yeah.
in my admittedly feeble brain. But you follow them because you were at the Porsche dealership for a long time.
Yeah.
And you know more about Porsche than the average Porsche guy.
Oh, I love Porsche so much.
Oh, I do too. But I had no idea that was such a...
Yeah.
Like, I just flippantly snapped a picture of it.
Right. So the funny thing is that Porsche, like when they came out the 911R years ago,
Yeah.
they which was I mean, I don't know exactly, but it was basically at that time like a wingless manual GT3 RS.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of. And those were going for like, for a minute they were going for like 750 to 900,000 on the secondhand market. And Porsche was like, because they kind of had announced that like, this is the last manual Porsche.
Sure.
So they were going nuts. And then Porsche was like, yeah, we don't really like that people are just flipping these. Sure. Welcome the GT3 Touring. That is a manual.
And it is, the GT3 Touring is
epic.
A perfect Porsche to me.
It's perfect. But then values on the 911Rs like plummeted. So people who bought them for like 800,000, I mean, they're still worth like probably $4.
Yeah, but that's
$4
half of what they were going for.
Half of what they were going for.
Wild.
And Porsche is going to do the same thing with the Sport Classic. They are going to come out with a rear-wheel drive manual turbo that's going to be like 80 to 90% of the Sport Classic.
Yeah. And just undercut it.
Just watch. Within the next year, they will announce that car.
Douches.
It's coming.
Just kidding. There's no sweat off my back. I'll never have one. But the ducktail spoiler might be my favorite spoiler of all time.
It is so good.
And the cool thing about it was it has brake lights. It has an LED brake light strip.
Yeah, buddy.
Which is awesome.
I could talk about small details on current 911s for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Because for the 992, they basically took stuff from like every generation of 911, just like design elements, and implement it in the 992. It's so good.
That is pretty cool.
So good.
Does it leak oil like a first or second kind?
They just have a separate little oil thing that you can refill. So it's not actually leaking from the engine, but it's just to simulate the...
And it was a $36,000 mandatory option?
Yeah, because it's carbon. It's carbotanium.
It's carbotanium. Porsche derived. Does it have an IMS bearing somewhere? Like the 996?
It does not, sadly.
Oh, they should have put one like in the automatic glove box release mechanism.
That would have been genius.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to listen to some ideas, I've got some. I've
sure
definitely
they do.
got some.
We should write an email.
To, is Ferdinand still alive?
I don't know.
No, he's been dead for like 70 years. So later, in this same dinner sequence, GT4 RS drove past.
What color?
Came in. It was white.
Do you know? It was white.
It was white.
Okay.
With a black hood, black wheels.
Carbon.
Yeah, sure. But
Carbon hood.
it sounded so good. And that car to me, price wise, how does that compare to a GT3 RS?
So a GT3 RS is going to be probably closer to, I mean, if you're not paying markup, probably closer to like mid twos to 300.
That sounds about right to me. But so
yeah.
I don't.
The 4RS is the most expensive one I've ever seen, which had a fair amount of like, I think it was paint to sample, had a couple special wishes, and it was like $240.
And that, to me, is there ever been a better driving Porsche than the GT4 RS?
I haven't driven one,
Sure.
but I can't imagine. Like,
aside from like a 924.
right.
Original.
So I was just talking to somebody who had literally just stepped out of a brand new GT3 RS, and they said at like 70 miles an hour, you can hear the wind like going over the car. You can like hear all the aero on that car because there's so much airflow.
That is so sweet.
That's going on. Oh, it's so cool.
You can hear tons of street noise in my 2003 Mercedes-Benz ML500.
If you think you can hear it in
It's
that,
not downforce though. It's like, it's feedback from the road. Here's a manhole cover. I hope you enjoyed having fillings because they're all gone.
So, a GT4 RS starts. What do you think a base price of a GT4 RS is?
170.
Yeah, like 164.
Okay.
That's pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would imagine most people are in like the 185 to 200 range
Okay.
by the time they.
At the door.
Yeah.
I just don't see that many of them. I see a ton of GT3 RSs. I've only seen a couple of GT4 RSs.
Yeah, and the new GT3 RS starts at 240.
That's insane. It is just crazy that a 911.
Yeah, but if you get the Heritage Pack
Yeah.
on the, I think they make it. I can't remember the car it's. Yeah, I don't want to say anything that I'm not being correct on because we'll have some keyboard warriors out there that are going to send us hateful messages. But I think that package is like, I want to say it's like 60,000.
Jeez.
So you're already, and that's basically, I mean, it's a bunch of carbon and then specific colors.
Right.
But that's it.
So that kind of leads me into what I wanted to touch on today.
Okay.
I have been getting, and this will all dovetail back to the point. I've been getting into watches a little bit more lately. I've been kind of associating myself a little bit more with that community. And there are a lot of people in the watch community that really don't care as much about the watch as they do about the status of the watch.
Yes.
So they don't care about
the movements.
So if we're looking at Rolex in particular, because that to me, that's like the most, not generic, but that's the most
ubiquitous.
Well known. Yeah, ubiquitous. There you go. Luxury watch maker around, right?
Yeah.
So there are lots of different models. There are tons of different reference numbers, and a lot of watch or people that have Rolexes, they don't know a lot about it. They just know it says Rolex on it.
Right.
And that is what they get. I feel, and that's disappointing to me for a couple of reasons.
Bummer.
Number one, they don't appreciate it, which is fine. That's their prerogative. But also, if somebody has a really cool, like an Omega or something not quite at the Rolex,
Seiko
level
or something like a.
Yeah, sure. Something vintage.
Yeah.
They just, they don't care about it. It's about status for them.
Right.
And I see a lot of that in the car community.
Oh, there's huge amounts of that for sure.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's all about, it's just status driven, and it's all about the appearance. And that is the antithesis of why I like cars. So we talk a lot about why cars on this podcast.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons that I love cars but don't necessarily love the car community all the time is that sort of attitude.
Yeah, that is, I mean, it's frustrating from a perspective of like anybody that's listening, like think of something that you love, like if people, I'm trying to think of a good example, but just they do it just for the sake of doing it or for other people to see them do it.
Yeah.
As opposed to like they do it because they enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you?
Well, I think about the GT3 RS a lot, and it's a heck of a car. Like it is phenomenal.
It's insane.
But the number of people who I know 3 or 4 people that have one. Maybe one of them really appreciates it and can talk about it.
Right.
The others are, oh yeah, I bought the orange one.
Right.
And it's really fast.
Yeah.
And it's so disappointing to me.
Yeah, it is. That is a huge.
But that's just a me thing. So this same guy, I won't mention his name, but he bought 992 Targa, and it was, I don't know if he still has it.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. It was white, really beautiful spec.
Yeah.
Has the Targa hoop, my favorite Porsche thing of all time. And I was commenting when we were riding up the elevator to the office one day how much I liked it. And he kept talking about how he loved the V6. Like it's just a V6, not even a V8. It's a V6, but it really puts you back in the seat.
I'll put you back in the seat.
And I was just
the
like,
electric
oh man,
seat.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. And I was just like, oh, that's so disappointing.
That really is. It really is. Gosh.
So I don't know. That would
Some
probably be like
people-
me going to a fancy restaurant and being like, I'll have, do you guys have orange chicken here? Like same thing. People would make fun of me. Like, don't order the orange chicken.
Right. It's not even a real thing.
Yeah. Sir, this is a Wendy's.
You get some saucy nugs.
Oh, sick. They have ruined Wendy's. I'm putting my foot down. What are they doing?
I don't know.
Have you seen any of their new advertisements?
No.
They offer like chicken nuggets
Yeah.
with fancy sauces,
Oh yeah. They literally call them saucy nugs.
and it makes me furious
Yeah.
because they're trying to turn it into a verb.
Right. It's like, is Buffalo Wild Wings too high end for you?
Yeah, seriously.
Is their chicken too high quality?
Is everything closed after you just did your last drugs? Come and nug yourself. Get nugged. Okay, now we can get back on track from that comment. So no, I don't like the status stuff. I would rather have somebody really be interested and talk about, like, I mean, as much as I hate to say it because I don't like them, like if they were really into their BRZ
Oh yeah, it's great.
and
Sure.
could talk about it and be passionate about it,
Right.
that's awesome. But somebody that just rolls up and has more money than taste, it makes me a little bit sad.
Yeah, I remember Dad always saying like that he had the saying that he was skeptical of anybody who had money and didn't spend it exactly the way he would.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think about that all the time. Like, oh, you idiot. Who would have bought that?
Okay,
But-
I have a similar sentiment. When you're driving on the road, there's 3 types of drivers, okay? People that are going slower than you, idiots. People that are going the exact same speed as you, jerks. And people that are going faster than you, maniacs.
Yabbo.
That's all there is. There's nothing else.
It's so true.
So
I
it doesn't
about that.
So maybe that, I don't know. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm having an epiphany.
So, in the same sentiment as like being frustrated with people who do things just for the status, or I don't know, ultimately what it comes down to is how much we love cars, what they can do, what they can make you feel. There's just like some cool stuff. But I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts today, and Jerry Seinfeld was on it. And he is talking about driving a 74 Carrera RS.
Okay.
And how it's like, he said that he has been buying and collecting cars, mostly Porsches, for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the greatest one he's ever had.
Really?
Yeah. He said it's the best driving experience he's ever had in a Porsche.
Yeah.
And he said it's like, he said it was like you get into it and it's like, he said it was something like Like when you see a chocolate bar on a hot sidewalk that's just like melted into the sidewalk.
That's how it
It's
felt.
the same thing. You just melt into the car and you become like part of the car.
It's an experience.
Oh, so good.
It's a whole experience.
Right. So I was just thinking about that versus like a car that's like an appliance. That's like a microwave. You throw your food in,
Yeah.
you press some buttons, and
Yeah.
you come out. Same thing with like so many cars. You get in, you drive it takes you where you want to go.
So here's what I'm thinking. Liz, my wife, loves appliance cars, right? She just wants it to be comfortable. She wants it to
Right.
work. That doesn't bother me a lot. If people are like, oh, I don't really care,
Yeah.
that's fine. We all have our own things. But for somebody, the thing that bothers me is like buying something for the attention. So one of our mutual friends, who we are going to have on this show at some point,
Yes.
who is an incredibly eclectic car collector,
Person in general, I might say.
generally one of the most interesting people I have the privilege of knowing.
Yeah.
He was mentioning that he was at a car show showing a couple of his cars a while back.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things, but as a side note to this story, this gentleman has an SF90, a Ferrari SF90, and the
So
license
good.
plate holder says Ferrari 458 on
Yeah.
it. And it is fantastic.
I think one of my favorite plate frames that he has is on his Storado. He has a Ford Raptor plate frame.
On his, so he has 992, is it just a Carrera, right? With a 7-speed manual?
Is 4S, yeah.
With a 4S?
C4S.
And he has a Lamborghini license plate holder on it.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how there was a kid talking to him at one of these car shows about the cars that he had there. And the kid, he said was a genuinely nice kid and was knowledgeable and all of that. But he said to our friend,
Mm-hmm.
we one day, maybe you'll be able to get something like a Veyron.
Mm.
And our friend said, he said, yeah. But on the inside,
Yeah, sure.
He said, I could do that.
Right. Well,
But it doesn't appeal to me or interest me at all.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
Do it because it's fun and because you like it.
Yep.
Not just to be super cool. Like your Balenciaga sweater that you're wearing. You know?
Yeah. It's
Do you even know anything about it?
no.
What was the name of the Chinese slave that knitted that $800 sweater? You don't even know.
Flag that.
Flagged. Man. I'm not going to say it. So that I really, it made me, having that kind of realization made me question my own car guyness as I do frequently. So as I'm looking for a car to replace the Mercedes, am I really looking for a car that is going to best fit my needs? Or in the back of my mind or the forefront of my mind, am I like, this is interesting, but what will my friends think of it? Like, will it be cool if I roll up somewhere in this?
Nicholas Aurelius.
Yeah, something. If I roll up in, let's say that a Volvo XC70, like an
Yeah.
05, not a fantastic, beautiful, powerful car.
Right. But it's interesting to you.
It would be interesting to me. It would serve my needs,
Yes.
but like, would I be too concerned? Am I too concerned that nobody would like it or care?
So this is about to get real philosophical.
Philosophizer.
Does it matter if you do care?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Right. As long as you are still interested in it. Like if you're buying something purely because you're like, yeah, I don't really know much about this. I don't really think it's that comfortable. Like,
It's expensive and bright colored and loud, and it's the fastest.
right. If you buy that and you basically tolerate it, but you do it for other people to see it. But if it's still interesting and everything to you, like
Okay.
if you pass on a car because you're like, I don't think other people will think it's that interesting.
Yeah. Which I have done.
For sure.
I have definitely done that
Yeah.
on multiple occasions. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't weird enough. It's not different enough. Nobody's going to care.
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Right? So it helped. It like it really made me wonder as we reflect on our automotive enthusiasm.
Right.
What are we here for? Where did it come from?
Where did it go?
Where did it come from?
Cotton-eyed Joe.
Nailed it.
So here's the question then. As you know, for a long time, I have been
Gay.
Flag that.
Kidding. My finger's getting tired from all this flagging.
So I've been thinking about I've been wanting it, needing it.
Mm-hmm.
Am I talking too much? Is she talking too much?
Mm-hmm.
Range Rovers.
Yep.
And part of the reason that I like it is because of the way that I feel when I drive it. I drive a Range Rover and I just like...
Feel like a drug salesman?
I don't know what that looks like for a baseline comparison,
Uh-huh.
but no, that's like... Because I know that they don't like necessarily have a great reliability track record.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the way they look.
Sure, I do too. They're beautiful.
I like the way I feel when I drive it. But is it based on what other people think, or is it based on what I actually...
That's the question. That's what we're trying to get at today.
Yeah.
I will support you buying a Range Rover on one condition.
Okay.
You have to get a customized license plate.
What does it say?
Escobar. That's it.
Escobar? Okay.
Yeah. You know, like Pablo,
Yeah, right.
the drug kingpin from Colombia.
I'll consider it.
Okay. I don't know if it's taken though,
I'll figure it out.
because that would be actually pretty sweet.
Right. I could do like the number 3 Scobar,
Yeah.
or I'll figure it out.
You could figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get it up there.
Yeah.
So I'm still examining. I'm still thinking. I'm still looking for cars. Here's the holdup for me though, is actually listing my current car for a few reasons. Number one, it's sad. Number two, it's such a pain in the butt. I hate selling cars. As much as I love buying cars, I hate selling them online. I hate when people are like, they show interest and then they say, hey, actually, if you could just send me the VIN and go to this website and get the TRDQ43 reliability report,
Right.
I've got cash. I'll pay you double, and then you can just pay the rest to my friend
Yeah.
Patel.
Patek. Philippe.
Oh, I know him. So that's what's holding me up. I'm really interested. There are a few cars that I really like that are up listed right now.
Before you get into that, let me just talk about writing an ad for a car.
Writing an ad for a car?
Yes.
Consumer advice. Consumer advice. There is a man walking into the studio with ski poles.
It is currently 90 degrees outside.
Which it might be his age. 90 degrees, 90 years old.
Okay, so writing an ad for a car, and I'm not necessarily giving advice. I'm just talking about my experience. It is one of my favorite things to do. But I get frustrated when I write an ad for a car. I list the car, and I feel like I should get more responses and more interest just because of
because the ad was so good.
because the ad was so good.
Yeah.
But it also makes me like reflect on the car.
Okay. What do you
I'm
mean?
like, we've loved this car. We've driven it so many
Yeah.
miles, and
So-
we've done all this stuff in it. And I'm like,
You're attaching sentimentality to it.
right. But then it gets no.
That's one of the things when I look through an ad.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I'm like, I don't care.
If they're
Because,
sentimental.
Yeah, it's superfluous to me.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, like, I'm not trying to like get some sentimental, like a pity purchase or something like
Okay.
that. So I'm not saying.
Are you trying to show that it was well cared for, or that it's been a good vehicle?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? Is it to help sell the car, or is it cathartic for you? Like you're writing a thank you letter to your car.
I think it's cathartic. I do. Now that you
Sure.
mention that, because I mean, there are some things that I mentioned because it's like, oh, we've done this, and it's been reliable and all that. But And a lot of it I don't even put down on the paper or on the it's not paper, but I don't even end up typing out. It's just like going through my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like this has been a great car.
Yeah.
Do I really want to sell it? And
Yeah.
it's just
Right.
an interesting experience. But
And the Full House theme song plays in the background of your head the whole time. I do this.
right. I think that we should start an ad writing service for KSL classifieds
Done.
only for certain cars.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not writing it for a Nissan.
No.
Anything.
Oh, that's an easy
More like
one.
an obituary.
Don't buy this.
Yeah.
Run.
We'll drive 6 miles straight to the dump. Maybe. We don't know. Just hide your face.
Yeah. But anyways, that's where I'm at with writing.
Sure. An ad.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, I'm thinking about that. That's on my mind.
Okay. It's always an interesting thing to sell a car. To see who's interested, to see what kind of nibbles you get.
Yeah. Well, and some ads I read and I'm like, this is hateful. This is horrible. You're trying to sell this car and this is what you wrote?
Yeah.
Like you, sir, or ma'am, should be banished. I don't know.
Euthanized.
Yeah.
That was harsh. It's because I just saw a Nissan Rogue drive past and my brain flipped evil for a second.
I have no idea what just happened, but I'm going to the doctor immediately.
Yeah, that was... Did you partially barf up a heart? I'm pretty sure that guy that just walked in has a defibrillator. If he just carries it in a backpack.
Oh man.
Okay.
That is if any time in my life I've seen a person and the word Lexus popped into my head. It's that guy
was the
right
one?
there.
Sure.
Yeah.
My Studebaker is the one that popped into my head.
Cheap Willies.
Yeah.
Willis. I think it's pronounced Willis.
In the French version was.
Right. And it's
Willis.
yeah, it's Jeep is what Willis was talking about.
That's what you talking about, Willis. He's a speech impediment. You just didn't know. Should we try and get our friend on next week? I think next week.
We could do it anytime.
There'd be so much awesome conversation we could have.
Yeah, that could be a 4-hour podcast. Or it could be a 14-hour podcast.
It could be a 5-parter.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm game.
Okay. We discussed that earlier, I think.
Right.
About you being game.
If we have time, there's one more thing I want to talk about.
Oh, we have time.
Okay.
Wilderness. Subaru.
Oh, man, I could hear the CVT screaming.
Was it
from
in
here.
first gear? Was it in 8th gear? Nobody knows.
It was in mid-ratio.
Question mark? Puts the trans into transmission. Nobody really knows where it falls on the gear spectrum. Flagged.
Immediately flagged. I recently sent a text message to you and Winslow in our group chat because I was car shopping for Range Rovers. And I saw a car that I really liked.
Yeah. A diesel.
A diesel Range Rover Sport, which I would love. And is awesome specs. Silver.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful.
Yeah, silver, white interior. Love it.
Perfect for children.
The price was heinous.
It was.
It was I was like, what are you doing?
It was a typo. They added a 0.
Yeah, so I finally I broke. I snapped.
You've reached your limit.
I snapped. And I messaged the guy. I was very kind. I said, I sent the message. Is this still available?
Yep, I saw it.
He said, yeah, of course this is still available. I'm like, well, I know it's still available because you definitely haven't sold it at that price. I didn't say that. This is what's going through my mind.
Sure.
The fire is building.
Stoking the fire.
Yes, there are many logs being placed on the fire, but they haven't ignited yet.
Okay.
So I'm messaging him back and forth, and I'm like, the car's in Syracuse, Utah, which is maybe 45 minutes north, probably. Yeah. And so I finally got to the point. I asked him about the price. I was like, what's your flexibility on price?
You got far enough down the road to talk about price.
I was like, I'm not gonna drive that far to look at the car if you're not flexible on the price.
Sure.
He said, well, I still owe money on it, so I'm not gonna come down by thousands. And I was like,
Well, you need to by about 10 of those thousands.
Right. And again, I was still very nice. I said, I totally understand that. I'm not saying that it's not. This is what I said. I said, I understand that. On my SQ5, I was in a similar place. I tried to sell it for a minute, but I realized that what I wanted to get out of it was more than what it was worth, and I still had money on it. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to sell it right now.
Sure.
And so I told him that, and I was like, the KBB value, Kelly Blue Book, sponsor us.
Kelly!
I said, the value on that car is like $18,000 on the high end. He had it listed for $27,995.
Yep.
And I said, I personally think it's worth more than the Kelly Blue Book value.
So you gave him that little...
I'm giving him some benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And he doesn't respond for a minute. And then he responds and says, I don't know a single bank that uses Kelly Blue Book for the values. And he sends me a screenshot of the NADA value, which some banks use. I will, however, say that both times I've purchased a car and gone through two different banks, they both use Kelly Blue Book.
Yep, that's the common one.
But he sends me the NADA. It's $24,000. He said this is as of August 10th. I'm like, okay, well that was a month ago.
2009.
Right. That was a month ago. So, but he didn't send me like, this is into the weeds, but if you go to NADA, you list you search what the car is. It says what it is, and then you have to scroll down a little bit to get to the value, and you can't see what the car is.
Right.
So he sent me that was $24,000. So I was like, this is when I snapped, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some research.
Nice. Get back to you.
Right. This guy picked the wrong guy at the wrong time, at the wrong portion of his life, with way too much free time.
Yeah. I can't get to sleep.
Right. I can't get no satisfaction.
But I try.
So I go on NADA. I put in the cars, and on KBB I did the same thing. I listed options that I don't know if the car actually has to give the benefit of the doubt to the seller. Like, I'm giving you all the options to make it as valuable as possible.
Sure. Fully optioning it out.
Right. It comes back $19,400.
That you maxed it out.
Maxed it out. And I'm like, so you're telling me in a month this has come down $4,500? Not likely. But I'm sure what he did, because he also sent me screenshots of two other cars on KSL. He's like, there's ones that are similarly listed for the same year. One was a supercharged V8. One was an SVR.
Yeah, the two highest spec'd.
Right. I'm like, that's the most expensive.
Trim levels.
Yeah. Like, those cars new. Like, this diesel Range Rover new was probably, in 2016, was probably 60, 70,000.
Sure.
SVRs are almost double that.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Right. So I'm like, I told him, I was like, diesels go for way less. Like,
yeah.
Diesels are basically not desirable.
Right.
Only people that are buying them as people specifically looking for a diesel.
Masochist.
You can tell I'm getting heated.
You are.
I'm mumbling.
You're talking faster. You're sweating profusely.
But yeah, so I sent him that screenshot of the $19,400 value and was like, I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt on the last one. This one I'm not. And he just never responded.
Ghosted you?
Yeah. And I'm like, And I also told him, I was like, I am looking for a diesel. I love this spec.
Yeah.
I want to buy the car.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I'm really in a position to.
Sure.
Like, I still need to sell the SQ5.
Right.
But yeah, and just no response. And I was just like, just because you owe money on the car.
Yeah.
Just because you rolled in what you owed on your 2007 Escalade into this car.
Your Charger.
Right. But
V6
gets his
Mustang.
wheels 2 inches off the ground. But yeah, so I'm infuriated by that.
You should be.
Like, I'm sorry that you owe money on the car. That's not my problem.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's worth $10,000 more.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he's. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm fuming.
You are.
Yeah.
Because that's the one you wanted. All right. Well, let's end on a heated note. Some spicy Cheetos.
Ooh, flaming hot Cheetos with lime.
Wash it down with some zero sugar Mountain Dew Baja Blast. You'll be dead by winter.